We're calling this March 1st Committee of the Whole meeting of the ISD 709 School District, Duluth, Minnesota. Welcome to our community that's here, and for our viewers on our channel 187 or on our Facebook page, and I'll have Member Eater take roll.
Member Kirby.
Here.
Member Lofald.
Here.
Member Sadowski.
Here.
Member Sandholm.
Here.
Member Oswald is excused, and Member Loeffler Kemp is excused, and Member Eater is here. We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. And then I'm going to turn it over. Our Committee of the Whole is usually facilitated by Assistant Superintendent Bonds. Welcome back from our winter break.
Yes, welcome back everyone, and it sounds as if individuals had a great time either out of the state or stayed within the state, but had found some joy in whatever they ended up doing.
We hope so. We all needed it.
Yes, yes, time to just refill our buckets. So our agenda is brief, and I'm going to turn it over quickly to our presenter, our Educational Equity Coordinator, Nick Smith, is here to present the invitation letter to EAC. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Once again, it's super awesome being here in front of you all.
Nice to see you.
I'm excited to get to know everyone here more and more as we continue to work together, especially around education equity initiatives and opportunities. I just wanted to give an update on EAC, the Education Equity Advisory Committee. Last month we had our first official formal meeting. And a little bit about some of the trajectory where we're going to kind of take the group, which is kind of a massive engagement of community partners that work with and service youth within our community, with the idea to engage community partners who are invested in the vision of education equity. Recognizing that it takes an entire community to raise a child, with a goal to break down silos, and throughout this collaborative and community engagement process, to identify unique ways that we can collaborate with community partners and support the journey of all students within education and within our community. So what that looks like, and then this letter here kind of outlines everything that I'm talking. This is the letter that I kind of word vomited one evening, and then I worked with our climate coordinator, Jake Lorenz, and Lindsay Youngman, who's a literature professor at the University of Minnesota Duluth, to kind of polish it up. Both who are also members of the Education Equity Advisory Committee to polish it up. So the idea is to start engaging community partners of all types that serve youth. And at our last EAC meeting, we probably identified 40 or 50 organizations just within the Duluth community who are doing really specific work. And all this work is being done in silos. So the idea is to bring everyone together and identify ways that we can collaborate, and to start building subcommittees, education equity subcommittees under the umbrella of EAC, to do really focused, intentional work in specialized areas, including on page 2 of the document, you'll see just some of the specific education equity ideas for subcommittees, like Indigenous education culture and language revitalization, to curriculum instruction and education strategies, to recruitment and retention, to media and public information, to youth opportunity, post-secondary opportunity, LGBTQIA+, and gender equity. So while we engage the different community stakeholders and people who are authentically invested in the idea of education equity, we identify facilitators, people that are willing to do, we need people that are willing to do the work, because I mean, I can't all rely on us or the district. And the idea is the district, we need the support of the community to help raise our kids in a really authentic and genuine and equitable way. Realizing that kids are only with us 6 or 7 hours a day, and oftentimes they're in community and throughout the rest of their day or life lived experience. So the goal is to facilitate collaboration and a massive engagement, creatively collaborating with our community, unlike anything that's ever happened here in Duluth and may not have ever even happened anywhere. As I think of unique strategies that we can use to kind of shift our system and shift some of these rates for our BIPOC and kids in poverty. We need to think outside the box. So I think engaging our community in such a massive, intentional, and collaborative and strategic way, I think it's going to be a key to help shifting our system in some really positive ways. So we're trying to engage people, get participation, representation, build authentic relationships, and throughout the EAC process, relationship building is really key. Understanding that relationships are everything. They really allow us to work effectively towards similar goals and to work collaboratively in genuine ways. Like when I know who I'm working with and you know who you're working with, it really enhances and accelerates the effectiveness around the education equity work that needs to be done. So it's going to be a slow process, building the subcommittees, and it's going to be a lot of work. I mean, I've already put in more hours than I care to admit just thinking about this and trying to build this in a strategic way. But it's really exciting, and just some of the initial connections with different community groups and community members have been really, really positive. There's a lot of people that are already highly invested in education equity and doing siloed work of education equity just within different youth organizations within our community. So bringing people together, identifying ways we can collaborate, and through that process, changing the world. That's what we're here for. So
Thank you.
yeah, so that's about it, but I'm open to thoughts, questions, feedbacks. We've only had our first meeting. Our second official meeting is next week, Thursday the 10th. We will need facilitators of different subcommittees as these specialized equity committees start doing the work. So if anybody's interested in supporting, participating, and or referring people that you know within your life we want people who are highly invested and passionate in education equity and in such a way that they're willing to do work on top of, we all have work that we're doing on top of, well, you all know, you guys are school board members, so.
Have some questions? Member Lawful Kemp and then.
Yeah, and I apologize, I hope someone said I was running a few minutes late, but I had already pulled it off and read it earlier, so I knew what I was walking into. Thank you, Nate, and I have no doubt that you will change the world.
Yeah.
You have been already in your years since I've known you. I had a couple questions. One is, can you provide us, I know from talking to member Sadowski that you did brainstorm quite a large community list, and can you share that with us so we can just, as a board,
Absolutely.
yeah, and let you know if we see any holes from our own involvement in the community. And then secondly, in your conversations of this vision, have you, what are you thinking in terms of getting the religious community involved? There are many, in our community that would love to be involved.
That's on there, so that's
Okay.
on the list, so I'll send you the list. I'll have to
Okay.
find it. I'm just gonna email myself a reminder so I can start. I'll try to send a list later tonight of, it's a community relationship map, basically, but it's in an Excel document with different tabs. So when you look at the bottom, and you'll see one tab that says religious organizations. So, but our ability to add resources or like specific religious organizations was limited to the participants at that specific meeting. So if you know of like specific religious organizations and or have connections, add it to the list. There's a place where you can add your name as a person to reach out and share this letter so that people kind of have an idea of the history, the trajectory, the vision. And we'd love to get some representatives and people who are involved in religious groups, because a lot of our kids go Wednesday nights especially. So yeah, that's definitely was mentioned and brought up, and as more and more people learn about this project and this initiative, I mean, we're just going to be identifying dozens and dozens more. And the idea is, how cool would it be to get 100 or 200 people every single month who are highly invested in education equity, and like I say, in such a way that they're willing to do the work. because it's gonna take a generous investment of people's time and energy, but that's what we're gonna need to shift our system is hundreds of people working collaboratively together.
And then,
Member, sorry.
I'm sorry,
Go
just a follow-up question. You were talking about facilitators, and I'm just wondering, in your kind of vision of doing this, are you having the facilitation done in a way where you're actually training the facilitators, so
Yep.
you're getting kind of consistent ways people are being welcomed in?
Yeah, so it's gonna be my kind of personal initiative to onboard
Okay,
and align people with the trajectory of the work that we're doing, because we don't wanna go down different tangents. We wanna have it really specific to education equity and having people well-grounded and what that means and what that can specifically mean with any type of specific subcommittee. So I'll be kind of taking that on, and then when facilitators are trained and ready to engage whoever wants to join the subcommittees to do that specific work. The idea is the subcommittees will meet between EAC meetings, and eventually EAC will be a place where subcommittees come and do reporting, similar to other type of organizational structures where subcommittees do that. Probably similar to the school board kind of. And then, you all meet and then you have the full school board meeting.
Member Sal.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, that I had shared with the board that I kind of came out of that meeting feeling really proud of when I looked at the whiteboard and saw all of the 8 organizations and businesses and agencies. That was a phenomenal list.
Yeah.
And so, thank you for sharing it with the whole board
Yeah.
at some point. And thank you, Member Lafferkamp, for bringing that up as well. I just also wanted to say, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but starting off the meeting with a meal is really just a great way to just make people feel comfortable. There's something about sharing a meal that kind of, I don't know, breaks down those barriers and makes people feel comfortable and welcome and just more at ease. They can be themselves. And so I thought that was a really great way to start the meetings. And then I just really love the multi-generational feeling that the meeting has, and we didn't have a lot of students at the last meeting, but we talked about how we can make that happen going forward more. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all that feedback.
Ask a question, how many people came to the first meeting?
So the first meeting, and you'll see some of the representatives on the top of the letter. But there's about 30 people. Let's see here. 30 people from, including these two guys are here at the beginning of the meeting. Jason Crane, the Director of Special Ed, was there for the whole meeting. Myself, we had Duluth Community School Collaborative, including the Executive Director, Kelsey Ganzer, the School Director, Angel Peluso, and then the directors at the different sites, including Benfeld, Lincoln Park, Myers-Wilkins. We had a bunch of different teachers representing all different levels of the school. I had a couple paras, clerical, school board, parents, and then a couple representatives from the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee, the Department of American Indian Education had some liaisons there, our Gifted Talented E Squared program. We had some representatives, the families in transition, the woman who works at Myers-Wilkins, the local NAACP president, and then 2 members of their education committee on the, because the idea was to bring in a bunch of stakeholders and try to be intentional about not keeping people out of the loop who are invested in this initiative. So it was pretty effective to get all those people there and really participating in just some really meaningful and genuine conversation where there's a lot of passion and a lot of frustrations, and to be there to help facilitate and guide that, it was pretty awesome. I felt people left inspired for sure.
And I do want to take this moment, and I'll call on Chair Local,
Yeah.
to also commend Nate for all of his work with trying to get EAC off the ground and rebooting, because it is going to take the entire community, especially all of the individuals in the community that make up our community, right? To be a part of the conversations and to have a voice. And so it's going to be important that we continue to build capacity around it and make sure people feel comfortable coming to the meetings and be real thoughtful on how we can just encourage individuals to stay with it. Our needs are great. We have some really great things going on in the district, but we also have some great needs in some areas. And so it's good that we have Nate and his team and others working to improve things. So appreciate it. Chair Wolfle.
So my question is just how often is EAC meeting? Is that meeting once a month?
Yep, so it's once a month. You'll find the dates within the letter
Yep.
here. So the next meeting is March 10th, and then April 7th, May 19th, and then June 16th.
Okay.
Off in July, and then kicking back up in August as like a preliminary meeting, and then within our bylaws for September, we have to publish our annual list of meetings and stuff for this fall.
And then do you have an agenda for each month? Or
Yep,
is
we're
it for-
building agendas? So tomorrow I have 2 hours blocked off in the morning for me and my admin assistant to really kind of hash out the agenda for next week. We'll try to push that out, and I can share that with the board as well.
I don't think necessarily, although how does the community access kind of maybe just the overall ideas about what EAC is doing on a monthly basis? I mean, I think the board is confident in your leadership. I don't think we need to see everything, but then again, we want community members to, see the good work and see the input. So is there a way that is
So right now we have.
communicated to the board or to the community?
Yeah, right now we have just like a listserv, an email listserv with about 120 people on it from the community, and we're sending out updates through that. And we're looking into building different ways or capacity to share that information, so like emails, but in an accessible format, like a Google Classroom, where someone can kind of go in, they can look at past agendas, past minutes, past notes, and they can kind of do that. So that is a structure that is being thought about, but yet to be built.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Well, that concludes our agenda, as we have no other items, and I do want the community to know that we did have additional presentation, but we had to table it because the individual was not feeling well. So we had to table one of our items. It's going to be the concurrence, non-concurrence. It will come next month, so look forward to that conversation as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we don't adjourn this meeting, so we're done.